welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be on these two weapons. It's going to be talking about variations, and it's going to be talking about the real steel versions and the airsoft versions, and the reason for that being the way these rifles are set up and whatnot. So, for those of you that haven't seen my videos, this is my CAR-15. Yes, it is full orange because obviously UK laws, and I don't own a UCARA. However, I do own a defence, but I didn't get the defence at the time that I purchased this weapon. So I have, as you'll notice with a lot of my weapons, I've put its very own serial number on it because it doesn't have one. Well, this one actually does, but this one's I've marked anyway. And obviously black tape just to break up some of the orange, and some random stickers on there. But yeah, this is my CAR-15, so as you can see it's a CQB M16. This is a later variant of what would be, at the time, a Colt Commando. So a Colt Commando was sort of the very first version of an M4. Well, a little bit more background would actually be the XM177E1, which was a which was really the very first M4 styled kind of rifle. It had Picatinny handguard, and you could mount an optic to it directly to the rail rather than having the carry handle. Then later on, obviously down the line, that was sort of Vietnam time. So then obviously later on down the line, you have we have a slight distraction there. Basically, so the XM177E1 would have been the first kind of M4 style rifle, being that it was shorter than the conventional M16A1 at the time. The M16A1 was over a metre long. The EXM177E1 was it was shorter, and had that Picatinny railed handguard, sort of like a conventional M4 does. I'm trying not to go too much into the past and talk about things like that, but as you can see, general idea is that it's a CQB M16 with a triangle handguard, fixed, non-removable carry handle, triangle front sight, bayonet lug, which is pretty much useless because you need that barrel for the round part of the bayonet would actually sit over the muzzle, or muzzle device, and then obviously the rear of the bayonet would clip onto the bayonet lug. Obviously a lot of the things on this are aesthetic, whereas we'll talk about the Nupro Delta in a moment, which is my build on an MK18, and you'll see that a lot of the things on there actually do function rather than just being aesthetic. So you've got the bolt release and bolt catch on here is aesthetic, does not move, and it's actually moulded into the plastic. Your safety is actually functioning, but it has fire only, so you could set it to where the semi would be, but it says fire there. And it's not going to do you any harm. Pulling the trigger. Oh shit, it was cocked. Something I should have checked. That was my brother, not me. He had actually been playing with this beforehand, and I didn't realise it was cocked. There's no pellets though. As you can see, the magazine is not fitted, and the magazine is not loaded. But anyway, excusing that minor mistake. So you can pull the trigger when it's in where the semi would be, and obviously you can pull it where it says fire. That would be full auto for those of you that know, obviously. But those of you who don't know, that would actually be where your full auto is. That would be your semi-auto, and obviously safe. You got your pistol grip, obviously your trigger. Everything on here is plastic. There is no metal parts other than the obviously the screws and the inner and outer barrel. However, the outer barrel ends there. The inner barrel continues all the way and stops just inside the muzzle there. On the other side, you've got your mock dust cover, which is actually again moulded into the plastic. You've got your hop adjustment, the magazine release obviously functions, and I've fitted this cheap sling to it that's really well knotted, so obviously won't come off. Your cocking handle actually functions, but that is because it's a Springer. So every time you want to fire a round, you have to cock the weapon, rather than like a real steel firearm. You'd pull it once, you'd have a round in the chamber. If you've got an automatic weapon, obviously, pull the trigger until you're out of rounds, or if you've got it in semi-auto, you know, pull the trigger however many times you have to until you again empty the magazine. The stock is removable, so you could change it for another one, but I'm obviously keep the fixed stock on here because I don't have any other stock that fits on there. And yeah, I haven't brought any pellets out to actually fire either of these weapons today, because I'm just doing this video based on them. You do have the day and night sights. A lot of people will tell you it's for distance, a lot of people will say it's for night sights. They're actually night sights. The day sight is the more open sight, and the night sight is the smaller ring. And it just helps you be a bit more precise in the dark. You could probably use them for distance, not saying you can't, because as I said, the smaller ring is a bit more precise, so I suppose you could use it for distance, like I say. But we'll sit this down. Oh, I just want to tell you about the magazine quickly. It'd be in reality, it'd be a 20 round magazine, box magazine, but on the airsoft version this holds roughly 100 rounds. You open this little trapdoor here, fill them all into there, you then pull the spring, 1 second for me, and you'll see a hole there, hopefully it picks it up. You shake it until all the rounds fill up there, and it can hold 12 in that part. So then obviously what you do is you put it into the weapon, pull that back until it's cocked. I haven't cocked that obviously, and away you go basically. And again, you have to pull it back every time you want to fire the weapon. Onto my Newpol Delta, which is my Mark 18 build, and this is slightly more realistic than the CAR-15 I have, in the fact that it looks real, almost real, a bit more realistic than that at least, because I've changed out. Now again, I do have a defence, but I did not use that to buy this weapon at all. What this complies of is I got a SEMA M4, and on the SEMA M4 came a green stock and a green handguard. And what I did was bought an aftermarket stock and put that on my M4, and this came with also a green crane stock, and it came with a green handguard, which was polymer. I've now replaced it with a black handguard that is metal, and obviously my aftermarket stock looks better on here anyway because the weapon is 10. So there's your first part of sort of realism, is it looks like the real deal, in a way. And I have people jumping on there, no it doesn't look real at all. Maybe not, but in the way I'm explaining it, it kind of does look a bit more real. If someone came running towards me with this, wow, you've got a toy. If someone came running towards me with this, and I did not know it was a toy, you know, I might actually be a little bit frightened. Anyway, so as you can see, none of it is a bright colour. You've got a lot of weight on it really, because you've got this full metal handguard. It's got a metal buffer tube. It's got a metal inner and outer barrel. And the internals, obviously the motor and everything, add a bit of weight to that. The gearbox and everything is metal in this version. So by way of things being a little bit more, what's the word? Things actually work a little bit better on this one. They're not just for aesthetics. You've got, obviously you've got your safety. You've got semi-automatic and full automatic on this version. And because it's not a Springer, it's electric, you don't have to cock it every time you want to fire. In fact, because it's electric, you don't have to cock it at all. As soon as you put that magazine in, it starts feeding the pellets and you're ready. If you want to add a little bit of realism, whatever, you probably could cock it back before firing your first shot. Now the bolt in this has gone a bit temperamental, but it has a mock bolt that you can pull back, and you have a bolt release, which obviously closes that bolt. You have a dust cover that actually opens and closes, and I'm going to go as far as saying that with that closed, if you have that like that, you can actually see down here through the mag well. So you've got magazine fitted and you've got that closed, it might actually stop a little bit of debris while you're playing airsoft. Can be a bit temperamental because I'm using the wrong spring in there and whatnot. You've got a function assist that actually is on a spring, doesn't actually do anything, but it's there. Which actually isn't on this version at all. There is no forward assist present at all. On some cheap weapons you do actually get a forward assist that just sits there and you can't press it. It is purely for aesthetics, but it's missing from this. So if I'm wrong about calling this a CAR-15, someone please point that out, but I'm pretty sure that the CAR-15 didn't actually have a forward assist either. Because the early AR-10s, AR-15s, whatever, didn't have a forward assist. Where did we get up to? We got to the forward assist. You've got your mag release, obviously functions. You've got your takedown pins, so you can take it apart, clean the internals, change springs and whatnot. On that version, you've got to take out all the screws, basically. Take it apart, kind of like a clamshell. Obviously, you've got a collapsing stock, which also can be removed, so you can change it, as I've done. Again, you've got bayonet lug and a really short barrel, so you can't actually fit a bayonet onto that. I have had a suppressor on this version, which obviously isn't on there at the moment, but I have had a real suppressor on this version, and it does look pretty cool. With it being a quad rail system, a quad Picatinny rail system, I've got a stubby foregrip attached. Now, I don't really use it as an actual grip. I don't hold it like this. I do, however, use it like that. Yep, so I hold it, I have my thumb over the top, and I hold it like this, kind of as a support. With it also not having a carry handle, a fixed carry handle, I can fit optics. Now, it's not to say I couldn't fit an optic to this, because if you look at the hole in the top of the carry handle, you would be able to fit an optic to that, but you require a small piece of rail and stuff, and you have to order that and whatever, and I just don't see the point of making that look that decent. It's bright orange, it's all plastic. I'm probably never going to use it for a skirmish, so I don't see the point of putting an optic on it. However, this one did come with a rear sight. I've had to remove that to put the holographic on there, but I can use a holographic, so I can use an optic on this. Now, a holographic doesn't give you any zoom capabilities. It's not like a scope, for example, where it would give you any kind of distant or visual aid. That's wrong, because it does give you visual aid. You kind of get what I'm saying. It's not like a scope, you can't zoom in with it and whatnot. It's sort of a 1x optic kind of thing. You can, yeah, it helps you aim basically, whatever bullshit I was trying to say there, I was what I was saying. Again, continuing around, I've got this red dot thingy on there. Laser sight. I've got a torch. To house the battery, goes in the stock. I'm not going to remove the rubber plate to show you that because it takes a while, but I can remove the whole stock and show you that instead. So if you fit your battery, what actually happens is you take the rubber bit off, you put your battery in, you can have a butterfly battery that goes either side in the stock, or you can have a tube battery that would fit probably down there. And yeah, I have a small piece of rail protector there, just because it helps my hand, because I found that just holding the sharp rails does actually cut your fingers a little bit, because it's kind of sharp. So I just found that having it up front, you know. What else is there to talk about on here? Not a lot really. Magazine compatibility with this is better than this. This magazine obviously has that lip and has to go in a certain way. Obviously all magazines go in a certain way anyway, but there's a little square in there. The little square inside there, this goes into, and obviously feeds the pellets that way. Whereas AEG magazines, a lot do work in the same weapons because they all sort of feed the same way. Most of the time, I'm saying a lot, not all. So this is a neutral mag, and it's probably obviously going to work in this because it's a neutral gun. But yeah, you can see it fits. We got this polymer PMag. Fits. That one is quite stiff, but no, it works. It feeds. And then obviously a tan metal mag as well. This magazine is metal as well. This neutral magazine, and obviously it's a polymer PMag. But you've got a lot of compatibility across the board. I've not found another magazine that actually fits this weapon. So I think if you did want to skirmish a spring weapon, you'd have to go out and buy obviously a few more of the same magazines. Whereas for an AEG, you can buy what you like really. Yeah, a lot of people will say there's too much tan if you use a tan magazine. And to be fair, breaking the tan up with a black magazine does look pretty nice. But at the end of the day, it's my weapon. It's my preferability. And I think it looks pretty good either way, really. Now the difference between internally with these guns as well, obviously I know this one's got a motor, it's got a motor and a gearbox and piston and everything like that, and that one obviously doesn't because it's a Springer. But this one has a 6.03mm aluminium type bore barrel. This one just has a smooth bore aluminium barrel. So you get obviously a lot better accuracy out of this one than you do with that one, because it's got that type bore barrel, send the pellet straight. Also the hop inside this one is better. You can fine tune that hop, whereas on that one you've just got that you just got the like slider, and obviously you can't fine tune it, you just got to put it somewhere, and sometimes your pellets will go up, sometimes they'll go down, sometimes they'll go left and right. It's a smooth barrel. It's not, I wouldn't use this for a skirmish. However, if you're a youngster just getting into skirmishing or airsoft, you might skirmish it. You could have it as a backup, I suppose. I mean, you obviously if you've got your car, you can buy it in black anyway. So a lot of people will actually use spring pistols as backups. They'll have their AEG, they'll have a gas pistol, and then they'll also take a spring pistol, because if your AEG, you run out of ammo, but you pull out your gas pistol and it's too cold for it to even fire a shot, you can pull out that spring pistol and you know it's going to work. Most of the time. I'm not going to say it's guaranteed to work all the time. If you've been crawling around in crap all the time and whatnot during a skirmish, you might have, caused a stoppage there with dirt and whatnot. But my point being, it's nice to have a Springer as a backup. Now, but like I said, I would not use this as a primary or anything. I probably wouldn't even use this as a backup. Spring pistol, yes. But like I said, if you're a youngster getting into airsoft and you're going to a skirmish for the first time, see if you enjoy it or not, you might want to take a Springer, I guess. That said, Springers actually work pretty well in CQB because they don't have to be that accurate. You fire the shot, hit the person, that's it. They call it a hit. If they're not a cheater, they'll call it a hit and well done. So I suppose in CQB, however, that said, I would never use a Springer in airsoft, I don't think. Yeah, I can't think of anything else to say really. My favourite out of these two is obviously the Newpro Delta. And I definitely recommend it as a first gun as well. for anyone who's choosing a first airsoft gun. I definitely do recommend it. I also do recommend the SEMA I have for beginners. Now the SEMA, the only problem is that with that is the whole, well, most of that is also plastic. When I say plastic, it's not this kind of plastic where if I drop this, I know it might break. The SEMA I have, the SEMA M4 I have, the chances of me dropping that and breaking are quite slim because it's a ABS polymer kind of thing. It's really well built. The outer barrel and inner barrel on that one are also metal. However, the buffer tube and all the body are polymer. So if you're going to run into a building and whatnot, and you run into a building and hit the stock, you may end up snapping the buffer tube. The difference between the SEMA and this one as well is the SEMA is front wide, so your battery doesn't go in here, it goes obviously in the handguard. Or you could use a PEC box to mount it on the side. But yeah, obviously my favourite, like I say, out of these two is obviously this. This is my favourite gun out of all my guns, other than my Glock 17. I absolutely love Glock 17s, and I have the gas version. Obviously, I'll show that in another video. I've shown it in plenty of videos, but I'm willing to do it again if I do a Springers versus gas video. Because this one's obviously Springer versus AEG. I can do a gas versus Springer because I have a spring Glock and I have obviously the gas Glock. That's a bit of a tongue twister. Just going back onto the things that are there for aesthetics, sort of. This one actually has a gas tube. Try it this side. It's probably easier. I've got hiccups. You can see the silver tube, the silver rod, as someone actually called it on one of my Instagram posts. Called it the silver rod. That's the mock gas tube, which obviously that one doesn't have. Also, you can move the delta ring on this one. I can't at the moment. But you can pull the delta ring back, change out the handguard. On that one, you can't change the handguard because the whole weapon is moulded together. So you wouldn't be able to change the handguard on this one. So again, back to the sort of the compatibility side of it, is obviously you can do all sorts of this. You can change that stock. You can have a standard M4 stock. You could have a solid stock. You could have a the wire kind of stock, as I call them, the sort of a tube. It sort of goes the top bit, the back, and up like that, and it's hollow. You could put your hand through it. Kind of that kind of stock, like the what's it called, the SIG 552s and the wire kind of stock that AKs have. I mean, obviously you couldn't put an AK style stock on this unless you've got some kind of special adapter, I guess. But what I'm trying to get is basically you can make it your own. Change the stock, change the handguard, do what you want. Back to this for the time being. Although we've already talked about this, that was a bit of a stupid thing to say. Sticking with this for a moment. When you order this, you can get it in so many colours. You can get it in green, red, blue. If you've got a Yukara or any other kind of defence, you could get it in tan. You could get it in black and grey. And obviously, it comes in the body, the stock, and the handguard are grey, tan or black. And obviously if you get it in tan, that's tan, that's tan, that's tan. And the muzzle's also tan. On some of them, I've seen people get them, and if they've ordered like the blue version because they're getting it in two-tone, they've got a blue muzzle device. They've got green muzzle devices. Now, mine, I chose the, I got it in the tan body, and it came with the green stock and green handguard. But it didn't come with the green muzzle device, it came with the tan one. I'm pretty happy about that because it's one less thing to have to change aftermarket, like the stock and the handguard I had to change. I don't have to change the muzzle because it came with the tan one already fitted, which is quite nice. But I have seen people buy them in two-tone, in like two-tone blue, two-tone red, and they've come with a blue or red muzzle device. I've picked on the Springer quite a bit. But also, we'll just mention the metal sling plates. Obviously, you can fit on quite nice slings on this. I wouldn't put like a top end sling on this, just because it's, you know, I ain't gonna spring it. I ain't gonna spring it. I ain't gonna skirmish it because it's a Springer, and yeah, it's probably likely to snap and whatever if I'm carrying it on the back a lot running around. That said, I have had it for quite a few years, and I do look after my weapons. The ones that don't work, it's just that the cocking mechanism through wear and tear has worn away, because I don't know any way to explain it, but they have like a cylinder-shaped thing, but the I'll call it hook. It sits into that, and if you know your airsoft guns, you'll know what I'm talking about anyway. I'm kind of talking here to people that don't know about it, but it's got like a cylinder-shaped piece, which also has a cylinder-shaped bit sat inside it with like a hook on it. And what happens is it pulls a spring back to cock the gun, but as it goes backwards, it's also grabbing the plastic part to fire the projectile, basically. And that's what's happened with most of my guns, is I've just used them a lot, and that piece is broken, and I've not got around to changing any of them, because really I don't use my Springers a lot anymore. That being said, I don't want to get rid of them, because obviously I'm building up my collection. I mean, you could make this look really nice in a way. You could give it like a tiger stripe pattern if you wanted to, and make it kind of like a Vietnam MacVsog kind of weapon. I don't know. I've been set up a challenge to make a really cheap gun look really nice. So I could use this, or I could buy one, or whatever. Like I said, I've had a suppressor on that one. I could put a suppressor on this one. Which, you know, I may do for the challenge I've been set. But at the minute, I don't plan on making this look any nicer than it. I was going to say than it already is. It doesn't look that nice, really. Obviously, it's bright on the weapon. But yeah. So I may do obviously another video, gas pistol versus spring pistol. I do have an electric pistol, but it didn't work when I got it. It wasn't given to me brand new. It was second hand when I was given it, and I changed the batteries and everything, and it didn't work. So there's no point in really doing an electric pistol versus spring pistol, because I can't fire it at all. Although it would be an interesting video to do a spring pistol versus gas pistol versus electric pistol. The only thing that I would not be able to do is fire the electric pistol if I did a test on firing them. Which may come. There may be a part 2 of this video. To be fair, I may fire these two in a later video. So obviously stay tuned. I've been Al. This has been Backyard Gunner. Hope you've enjoyed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. And if anyone is interested, comment down below, and I'll give you the details to my Patreon. Because I'm looking at a Spring M14, which is going to be a cheap weapon that I've got to make look really nice. It's a challenge I've been set by someone on Instagram, and I want to do it, so help me out if you can by donating to my Patreon. Failing that, I'll just have to use something I've already got, or wait until after Christmas, obviously, and save up a bit, because obviously Christmas coming up, I don't want to buy a brand new gun right now. The one I've seen, I've been looking for a not too cheap, but a cheap-ish. So the M14 I've seen is £35. That's 35 UK pounds, and I don't mean 35 pounds as in the weight of it. It's probably not that heavy, 1 to 2 kilograms at the most, probably, because the whole thing looks to be plastic. But as said, I've been Al, this is Backyard Gunner, and I'll see you in the next one.